Welcome to this demonstration, how to create your own fonts. My name is Rob Leuschke and I teach a workshop called Tool to Type. In this workshop, students learn how to create a font using the powerful font development program called Glyphs. About 20 years ago, a client commissioned me to do a series of word art. At the time, I was pretty busy. So I asked a very good friend of mine, Michael Clark, to help me with the project. If you're a part of the lettering arts community, you're probably very familiar with Michael's work. Here's the group of words that Michael and I created. I'm sure you can probably tell Michael's work from mine. I've highlighted these three words in particular because eventually they became fonts of mine. That word love became the first font that I created for public use. And eventually I went on to create dozens of font families. In this demonstration, I want to take that beautiful word that Michael did, and I want to create a font from it. I'm in Photoshop right now, and I want to prepare the lettering for the Glyphs application. Now obviously, you would be using your own hand lettering and doing similar things as you see here. I've pasted the word blessings and you can see its layer on top of the background. I'll use the wand tool and select all of what you see in black. From there, I'll go to paths, make a work path. I usually select the tolerance at a 2. And now you can see that there are vector paths highlighted in blue. These paths can be manipulated in Photoshop, but there really isn't any need to because that's what we will be doing in Glyphs. So let's jump on over to Glyphs, and before we start, I want to show you a few things about how the program works. I'll go into Menu, select New, and what appears is a glyph file. It's basically a blank canvas, and this source file is what actually generates the font. Think of it as like a program that creates a PDF. It's not the PDF, it's just what generates the PDF. Let's select this letter A, and I'll show you a few things about what you're seeing. As you can see in the background is the letter A for reference. Once you start actually putting nodes in, that letter will disappear. Also in the background is the bounding box. These vertical and horizontal lines show you the attributes of that particular glyph. Basically, they correspond to numeric values here in the information panel. A blank glyph always starts out with a width of 600, and that can be manipulated once you start working. Okay, I think I'm ready to start editing, so I'm going to jump back to Photoshop. With all of my paths already selected, I'm just going to go up into Edit and copy this. Then I'm going to jump back to Glyphs, open up that letter B, and paste. Now it's rather small. You can see it down here in the preview. It's rather small, so I'm going to enlarge this so that that letter B fits basically in that bounding box. And that looks pretty good. Okay, I want to take all of this and I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to go to the background and I'm going to paste it into the background. As you can see, I now have a piece of word art. I can change the side bearings so it covers the entire area of the word, but I want to separate these letters out. So I'm going to go back to the background and I'm going to place some registration marks so I know where the side bearings should be for each letter. I'm going to speed ahead while I do this. I'm just going to put tick marks here. I'll call those tick marks. Basically, they're just registration for where I want those side bearings to be. Okay, I'm going to finish this off and I'll be right back. Okay, so now that I have all of my little registration tick marks, I can begin copying each letter and placing them into their respective glyphs. So I'm going to take the side bearings plus the character. I'm going to zoom in because I know I've got a couple of little stragglers here. Okay, I'll hit copy. And now I'm going to go to the letter L, go to the foreground, paste. I'm just going to move this over. That's probably a 0, and I'll hit a 0. Now you'll notice that that 0 lines up with this furthest right point, so I need to bring that in a little more. I'm going to go minus 110, and sure enough, that's the right placement of that side bearing. So now if I type in the letter B, well, let's go back to that letter B. Let me go ahead and type that letter B in. You can see that the entire word art is still there. First, I'll delete the rest of these characters of the word art. And I know that that side bearing is right there, so I'm going to put in, let's put in a -5. That's pretty close. Okay, now I'm going to do the rest of the letters so the spacing for the entire word is correct. So there you have it. The font is basically identical to Michael's hand lettering. So all of the other letters are in their respective glyph cells. And as you'll probably notice, there are 3 different versions of the S. I had to create alternate characters, and I named them according to glyph standards, which is something that we could talk about another time. So all of the letters that I need for that word are in place. Now obviously, creating your own font, you would want to create all of the characters. But for demonstration purposes, we'll just stay with what we have right now. Okay, before I go any further, I think I better save this because I haven't done that yet. So I'll just go into the File menu and hit Save, and I'm just going to call it Blessings. I'll save it on my desktop, and there it is right there. Now there are a few other things that I need to take care of. First off, I need to make sure that some of the other font metrics are correct. As you can see, the ascender is way up here, and then the X height is obviously not in the right place either. So to change those variables, I go into the font information. So I'm going to select a node on top of the letter B and see about where I need to put that cap height. And I know already that the X height is about 375. So it looks like the cap height should be about 580. So I'll go into the information window, go to Masters, change the cap height to 580. And like I said, the X height will be 375. And now you can see that these variables have changed. So let's type in the word blessings. Again, notice that the S's are all identical, but let's just make sure that the X height is right. I'll click on this letter E. Yeah, that looks pretty good. This is a pretty bouncy style, so the X height really isn't of great importance. Let's see, what else do I need to do? Let's go back into the information window. The font name definitely needs to change. I'll just type in blessings. Font naming is a very important step. Okay, I've typed in blessings. I'm not going to bother filling in this other information. For now, the font is ready to generate. To generate a font, you go into the File menu and select Export. You'll get this little box. You're going to choose an OTF file and hit Next. Now I'm going to open it with Font Book and load the font. I know I'm working quickly, but that's okay. Now the font should be ready, so let's jump to Photoshop and let's see what it looks like. The default right now is Myriad Pro, so I'll change that to Blessings. And it shows up, that's good. And as you can see, we're pretty close. Now, if you recall, we've got 3 S's, so I need to change those out. The programming allows me to do that fairly easily. And now let's just resize this and see how it matches up. Move it a little more, and it's pretty darn close. And there we go. We've created a font in just a matter of minutes. I hope you liked this video. and I hope you look into Tool to Type.